You fuck around, you will get societally rejected and you'll fucking kill yourself is what will happen when you fuck around. Like that's what you'll find out. You'll find yourself at the bottom of the fucking Han River. Hello, my name is Roy Lee, but my Korean name is Lee Chung-in. I was born in Seoul, South Korea on 2003. And after living there for 3 years, my family moved to America. Thank God. I was raised in Duluth, Georgia, which is this very, very Korean spot of Georgia. Surprising, but a very, very Korean spot. I was raised there until I graduated high school. After a few rough years, I ended up at Columbia University, which had a ton of Asian people. At Columbia, I ended up co-founding this startup, Cluely, which ended up making me millions and millions of dollars. Also is a startup that I raised $20 million from venture capitalists for. None of this would have been possible if I was born in Asia. Something that frustrates me so much is I really feel that Asian societies are just designed to fail. They're not designed to innovate at all. And it is very, very frustrating when I see constantly how these Asian societies are operating and how they are repeatedly going to continue to fail to bring out like great entrepreneurs. I could have never had the success or anywhere near the motion that I have in America if I had stayed in Korea. And this is for a few reasons, and these are my biggest problems with Korea, is that they don't support. All of my problems with Korea are actually, it's singular. Korea does not support individual exceptionalism. This is the single reason why the Korean society is doomed to fail. And it is because individual exceptionalism is the driver for all of civilization's progress. Every single civilization in the world, every single leap that a society has ever taken, whether it was the invention of fire, the writing of the Declaration of Independence, the fucking invention of the electric car, the invention of the fucking assembly line, all of these things were not devised by a team of fucking 100 people working together. It was devised by one or very, very few smart people who are willing to step out of line and do the thing. Those are always the people, like these inventions, these few groups of people, these exceptional individuals are always the people that ended up taking your society leaps forward. So for a society to actually have a lot of innovation, you need to encourage exceptional individuals. And actually Asia, particularly Korea, doesn't just not promote exceptional individuals, it actively discourages them. And it's because of these three systems that are in place. The first is the Korean military. The second is the unflexible demand for respect for elders and rules in society. And the third is corporate nepotism. And because these three structures are not going away anytime soon, Korea is doomed to fail. So here's why. The first is the Korean military. So mandatory military service, in Korea, military service is mandatory. And the way it works is every man, I believe, who graduates high school at one point or is 18 plus has to serve 18 months in the military. The problem with that is the mandatory military service is very unflexible in the work that you're able to do. It's not as dystopic as like everyone is just a fucking grunt infantryman. In fact, if you're smart, then if you're lucky, then you can get a job doing like fucking IT work at some company maybe, and you could even clock out. But the problem is that even the most IQ intensive, the most brain intensive roles in the military still only cater to the top quartile or the top quintile. They don't cater to the top 0.001% individual. And what ends up happening is you have these IMO medalists, these insane prodigies that could have solved fucking nuclear fusion. These people who would have been otherwise spending their freshman, sophomore year at the Korean equivalent of MIT are now bundled up with the rice farmer who was top of his class, and they're both doing the same fucking data entry work for 18 months. You take the most ambitious, most smart, most capable kids in the entire country and you bundle them up with the top quintile performers. And it's because of this that these smart people are not able to have long-term goals in high school. You know, they're not able, or below, they're not able to pursue any long-term interests. They're not able to do anything because they know, like, all right, whatever, like, even if I do well in this, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna have to go to the military anyways. Pretty much nothing they're able to do. No company they're able to start, no company they're able to think about starting, no risk they're able to take, because they know, like, the thing that is looming in front of them is 18 months of mandatory military service. And that kills exceptionalism. Like, even if the government tries to put in place these structures to make it such that, you know, like, the smart people get to do this IT computer work, it doesn't matter because the smart people are very, very different from the smartest people. And what you actually need is you need to let the smartest people either be catered a specific way or you need to let them do whatever the fuck they want. Like in America. In America, you have high school dropouts like fucking Shane Copeland founding $9 billion companies like Polymarket. And the youngest billionaire ever, the youngest, as maybe like a few months, but before a few months ago, the youngest billionaire ever, Shane Copeland, founded a $9 billion company after dropping out of high school. That would never have happened in Korea. Me, myself, having made millions of dollars out of college for a startup that I built during college would just have never happened in Korea because I would otherwise have been in the fucking military. That's where I would have been at the age that I was when I started Interview Coder, my first tool that made me a couple million. That age, I literally would have been in the Korean military. So thank God I'm in America. The next reason why Korea is doomed to fail is the reason of this societal-wide demand for respect for your elders. And it all goes back to the idea of the exceptional individuals, you know, like all societal progress is just run by these few people who perform these amazing, miraculous things. And these technical innovations, technological, scientific, whatever, these advancements, these breakthroughs, these get disseminated and spread out through the entire rest of the world. And it's great that we have other people working for them, you know, like it's great that they have employees and they have very, very valuable people under them. But really, there's 80-20s everywhere, you know, there's just very, very few people that are responsible for almost all the progress. The only way that these people can actually, you know, be the outliers that they are able to is if they are able to practice being an outlier. There has never in human history been an example of someone who just magically stumbled on some insane society-changing method, you know, like some new technological revolution that has not previously experienced the feeling of, oh, like trying something very different from the rest of the people around them, like not following the herd, you know, like whatever everyone tells them something, they just think, you know what, I appreciate you telling me that, but I actually am not gonna listen to that. Every successful person in history does not give a fuck what other people tell them and what advice they hear from other people. They just do their own thing. And it's because that these people are doing their own thing that they're able to find things that are net new and actually help humanity as a whole. 20 years ago, when everyone thought, you know, like fats were bad for you, there had to be some people who were investigating and not blindly listening to whatever their fucking societal overlords were telling them to discover that, hey, fats actually might be a very healthy thing and actually might be wrong. In fact, most of all the dogma and shit that we have learned in human history, almost all of that has been wrong, and they've all been disproven by some people. Some motherfucker had to go out there and say, hey, I think this slavery thing is kind of bad. This is kind of evil what we're doing. Some motherfucker out there had to be the first one to say, hey, maybe we all shouldn't live under this king. Maybe this fucking Chinese emperor doesn't actually have this mandate of heaven or whatever the fuck we think. All of societal progress is just driven by individual outliers who are ready to accept that the rules are meant to be broken, you know? Like, I'm just gonna fuck around and find out. But in Korea, in Asia, there is no fucking around and finding out. You fuck around, you will get societally rejected and you'll fucking kill yourself is what will happen when you fuck around. Like that's what you'll find out. You'll find yourself at the bottom of the fucking Han River. And in Korea, the expectation is just, you know, there's this like, I think it stems back to Confucianism or whatever the fuck. But either way, like if someone is 1 year older than you, there's like fucking like 14 different terms that you might call them depending on your age, gender, position in society. You might call them hyung, oppa, duna, onni. Like there's so many terms for respect you have for people who are older than you because that's how important it is. Age is the underlying thing. It doesn't matter if you are exceptional. It doesn't matter if you're smarter than me. If I'm 2 years older than you, I will tell you what goes and you're gonna fucking listen because you're younger. And that, when you map it across a whole society, ends up with just the fucking boomers up top telling everyone how it goes. And if you step out of line, like, oh, you can't do that. You need to respect your elders. How dare you? How dare you not listen to your teacher when they tell you some fucking obviously wrong fact? You just need to accept the shit that's handed to you on your plate and eat it up and enjoy it. 잘 먹겠습니다. In America, there's none of that. In America, we are all pretty age agnostic, you know? Like, it's not crazy to see a very successful person. It is not crazy to hear the story of the college dropout. In fact, most big successful companies were founded by people who did, like at a very young age, try to do the thing that everyone above them told them not to do. When I was debating whether I should drop out, whether I should intentionally try to bait Columbia into kicking me out of college, when I did that, literally every single person in my life was telling me, you shouldn't do that, Roy, you shouldn't do that. You just listen to your elders, you should listen to the administration board, you should go to the disciplinary hearing, you should beg for forgiveness, is what they told them. And I thought, you motherfuckers are all wrong. You motherfuckers are all some soy boy, low testosterone. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna fuck around, I'm gonna find out. And if what I find out is some fucking very disappointing thing at the end of it, then I'm glad that there is no extreme societal judgment for stepping out of line that will make me fucking kill myself. But Korea doesn't have that, you know? In Korea, like, you get kicked out of a high school and you're done. You're branded for life. It's over for you. Like, genuinely, truly, the societal judgment that comes with not following the exact same path that everyone else needs to follow, it's horrendous. In fact, in Korea, there's an acronym for like the top schools and it's called SKY. And it stands for like Seoul University, Korea University, and Yonsei University. And pretty much these three are the three schools. And if you don't get into one of the three schools, it's not uncommon for you to retake your, the Korean equivalent of your SATs and just try again next year to try and get into one of those three schools. Because getting into one of those three schools pretty much locks you in your place in society forever. And the reason why this is so important is because also in Korea, there's not really this concept of job mobility. In America, it's pretty common for you to, you work at a job for a little while, maybe you don't like it, maybe you're interviewing around and you leave for another job in a couple years that better matches your career. That does not exist in Korea. In Korea, you start at a company and you end at the company until you fucking die, low key. And because of that, like these companies also, when they hire, it's not like they're hiring all around through the year. Like they hire new grads at one point when the people graduate from these 3 schools. And Samsung Electronics is not hiring from some fucking like no-name 3rd-tier school in Korea. They're hiring from one of the top schools. So you're pretty much locked into place. Your place in society is locked in as soon as you hit 18, the second your fucking like high school entrance results, your college admission entrance exam results, the suneung, as soon as those results come out, you're done. Like okay, so this is your life now. And it's very, 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 very not rigid. It's not flexible. It doesn't reward people who will decide, maybe I'll take a year off, study something interesting, you know, and like try to do something else in my life. No, because like you're done. Your life is set for you. It is so set in stone. The government and society tells you exactly how successful you're going to be and exactly what life you're going to live at the age of 18. And this is not just isolated to Korea. I mean, China has the fucking Gaokao, which is literally the same fucking thing as the suneung, which is like SAT plus. In America, SAT score doesn't really fucking matter. It really doesn't matter that much. There's test optional, there's ACT, there's whatever. It's just like one part of the admissions exam. In Korea and China, the score you get is the life that you will live. And that's the end result of a society where everyone just adheres to the rules and everyone just listens to the voices of the elders above them. Once elders set everything in stone, hey, and once there's one elder, the oldest person in the village, the fucking village elder, who might even be the stupidest person in the village, just decides that, hey, it seems like this arbitrary test seems to be a relatively correlative measure of how well someone's going to do at these highly cognitive tasks. I'm gonna call this the suneung and I'm gonna make everyone take it. And this is exactly going to be predictive of everyone's success. As soon as you have that, you can't say, nah, I don't think so. There is no, I don't think so. There's no fucking around and find out in Korea. So there's this very, very inflexible demand that you respect your elders and you respect the rules of society. And what that ends up with is nobody fucking around. And when nobody fucks around, there are no exceptional individuals and there will be no innovation. So Korea's done because, you know, there's not a society where you're allowed to mess with the rules. The final piece of the puzzle here for Korea's eventual demise is that of corporate nepotism. And it's so funny when I hear stories about this because it literally sounds like straight out of fucking fiction, some of these things that will happen. But essentially in Korea, you know, Korea is like a relatively small country and it's very capitalistic. And like I said, you know, there's not much innovation. There's not actually much competition. And the end result of not rewarding exceptional individuals for going out and starting your own companies and having the capital necessary to fund them is that you actually have very, very few companies just run gigantic fucking monopolies over the entire country. And the heads of these companies are families, and they have kids, and those kids have kids, and eventually you have literally families of chaebols, or like very rich people, like extremely rich families who just have all the fucking wealth, and they raise the most spoiled kids ever. And these kids are the ones that get into top schools. Well, the 100% are gonna get into top schools because like what as the principal of fucking like Seoul University, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna reject Samsung Electronics' daughter? Like no, like she's the exception, you know, like they get whatever the fuck they want. They get treated like fucking royalty in the country. In fact, the laws of the police don't even apply to them, because that's what happens when you have these companies with that much power. Is like you can literally bypass the law. You are greater than the law. In Korea, I say this with certainty, Samsung Electronics is bigger than the fucking president. And it's the kids here who hang out with the other kids, and they marry into each other's families, and those families are the people who take over the businesses of like the day. Like the very few businesses that are there, the monopolies are then led not by the people who are most deserving of the role, but the people who are like the son of the guy who did it before. And this is not just the case for the top 3 companies, but because those top 3 companies have such massive holdings in every other company, it becomes the case for pretty much every company. You know, like Korea Air is very, very closely tied to Samsung. And because of that, the kids of the Samsung chairman are going to be involved in Korea Air, and they will be in Korea Air corporate leadership. Sometimes very rarely you will hear these stories of outrageous behavior. Like very recently there was this, and in fact this was actually some global news, but there was this like within the family of the Korean Air chairman, there was one daughter who was in this she was on this airplane. The airplane took off and she was served a bag of peanuts, and it was like a bag of peanuts, and it wasn't on the plate that she liked. So she got up, she yelled at the flight attendant for like fucking 10 minutes, made him get down on his knees in the middle of the plane, bow to her and apologize for fucking like not serving her a bag of peanuts correctly. And then she told him, get the fucking captain, turn the whole plane around. And they turned the entire Korea airplane around and landed because she didn't like the fucking peanuts she was served. This particular news story got a lot of global attention, but that's just the one story that got a lot of attention. There's literally a million stories out there, and that sounds like fantasy, because how can one person be so fucking delusional as to think like how do you lack the social awareness to be in an entire plane of other people and not think like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want, I'm gonna be the rudest person imaginable? How could you possibly think that's okay? Thing is, this is not an isolated case. When you see one thing, like believe what the people will fucking tell you, you know, like when something like this comes out, you have to extrapolate that this is just going to be the case, but there has to be an underlying reason for one person to act so out of line. School shootings don't happen out of nowhere. They happen because of a culture that encourages, in some way, promotes school shootings. When one person acts this fucking irresponsibly, this fucking socially out of line, there has to be some sort of culture that promotes someone acting this socially out of line. And it's not just her. It's literally all the fucking chebos are out there doing fucking insane, crazy, rude shit, because in their minds, they're not regular people, they're fucking royalty. And the rest of South Korea is fucking cattle. And the reason why this matters is because those people are not just fucking random, rude, rich people walking around. Those people are going to be the chairmen of companies that actually rule the rest of genuinely rule the rest of the country. They're going to be the people that determine what policies get passed. They're going to be the people that determine, you know, like all of technological innovation in the future. And that is directly downstream of there is no startup environment, because nobody out there is trying to start a company, because no motherfucker has any ambition. There's no money to go around because there are no ambitious people. There's no ambitious people because there's a society that just rewards rules. And because there are no exceptional individuals, the few people that were exceptional way back in the past have maintained families and lineages, and those lineages have resulted in this crazy fucking ruling class of people that will never let any other exceptional individual step up and enter their world. Instead, they're just gonna hoard all the wealth and train their kids to be crazier and crazier and crazier. Because you know what the fucking crazy thing is? That crazy bitch who made the whole fucking Korea airplane turn around, she's gonna have kids. And what do you think those kids are gonna do, bro? Like what? Like just imagine the fucking environment you'll be raised in with a crazy psycho mom like that. And imagine what those kids will be doing to their kids. And like this is literally gonna happen, because like who's gonna beat out Korea Air? Certainly not the fucking low-T motherfuckers studying for their sunung. Like it's not gonna be me when I'm 18. I'm not gonna have the big dream of maybe I can one day start an airplane company, because all I'm thinking about right now is how am I gonna fucking pass the test that determines the rest of my life? Very frustrating. And when you have all these systems in place, you can't have people who are ambitious. You have people who just follow the rules, listen to their elders. You have these insane corporate nepotism that fucking like just promotes like the craziest people and puts the craziest people in leadership positions. You end up with a society that just stagnates. And there's gonna be no innovation out of there. There's gonna be no ambition out of there, because all of society, all of societal progress just rests on a few exceptional individuals being encouraged to do the things that they want. And in Korea, like the society is just meant to strike down these exceptional individuals. At no level can you be exceptional. You can't be exceptional before you graduate high school because you gotta worry about the sunung. You can't be exceptional after you graduate high school, because if you lose your job, you lost your job and that's it, you lost your career. Even if you do quit your job and you start a company and it's relatively successful, there's no capital for you. It's very hard to compete because all the fucking like big corporations are holding hands with each other, and they're making sure that they're the ones who win and that the winners stay winning. So literally at every single point, it's almost impossible to be exceptional. I'm so fucking grateful that I'm in America. It is only because I'm in America that I've been able to be raised with the mindset of taking risks and figuring out like, oh, I can actually do this thing that everyone told me not to do. It's only because I'm in America that I can make a couple $1 million, that I can build this product that will essentially jeopardize my entire career, that I can even take that risk in the first place, because in America, it is okay to be out of line. It is okay to like fucking speak back to your elders and not listen to the rules, because in America, you can always kind of just get back, and you can always, like, this is as best of a meritocracy as it gets. So thank God I'm in America, land of the free, home of the brave, and not fucking holed up in South Korea, going to the fucking military with a bald head. You have to buzz your hair too. You have to get a very short haircut, and it's another thing that I don't like about the military. So ultimately, that's it. You know, society is really driven by the work of a few very exceptional individuals. And when you have a culture that is really not, it's really not just Korea either, by the way. It's like fucking Xi Jinping is not some fucking, he's not some democratically elected official who everyone just loves. Like, he is the fucking ruler. He's the boss, and this motherfucker's got kids too. It's all of Asia. All of East Asia is specifically designed such that people will follow the rules of the people up top. But it's very, very rarely that innovation and progress is made and designed by people up top. In fact, mostly it's usually designed by a few young, out-of-line motherfuckers. So to all of you watching, hopefully if you're in America, be glad you're in America. If you're in Korea, try and get the fuck out of there. And just keep taking risks and keep trying to be that exceptional individual, because it's really the most patriotic thing you can do. There's my rant about Asia. Glad to be an American. That's it for this week. See you guys on the next episode. Thanks.